Over 1/3 of adults have trouble sleeping, and I'm definitely one of them. The second I lay down, my brain starts reviewing every decision I've made since 2014. It's honestly leaving me exhausted. So when I heard about reishi, this ancient mushroom that can supposedly help with stress and sleep, I decided I wouldn't buy it, I would grow it myself. You see, I trust most supplement brands about as much as I trust the government, so if I'm going to try this thing, I want to make sure I'm getting the real deal. My plan is to grow my own reishi mushrooms, turn them into a form my body can actually use, and use them to start my own sleep experiment from scratch. But before I can find out if reishi actually does anything for my sleep, I need to answer one question. Can I turn the mushroom of immortality into my own bedtime sleep potion? Reishi is not really a mushroom that you want to throw in your dinner. It's woody, tough, and extremely bitter. People don't grow it because it tastes good, they grow it because of what it might do. And that's what makes this grow so different. I'm not growing dinner, I'm growing the starting point for an experiment. And to do that, I need to start with the culture itself. To actually grow this wacky mushroom, the first step is to get some reishi liquid culture growing on whole oats. Liquid culture is basically living mushroom mycelium in a syringe. You can inject it straight into sterilized grain, and that mycelium slowly spreads through the grain, eating up all the nutrients. For this grow, the grain I'm using is whole oats. I simmered the oats until they were plump, loaded them into jars, and sterilized them in the pressure cooker for 90 minutes at 15 psi so the reishi would have a clean food source to grow through. Once the jars cooled down, I added the liquid culture. Then came the waiting game. With some mushrooms like oysters, the stage feels pretty quick, but here I was checking the jars every couple of days only to see barely measurable growth. The reishi was already letting me know this was going to be a long-term relationship. After several weeks, the grain was finally colonized, which basically means the white mycelium had spread through all of the oats. I'm at least grateful that this step is pretty straightforward because the next step is where things get a bit more sketchy. Here, I was just growing mycelium in a closed grain jar, but for the next part, I have to give the reishi a giant block of nutrients and hope my mycelium get there before contaminants do. With the grain fully colonized, it was time to give the reishi a bigger food source, something called Master's Mix. Master's Mix is a blend of hardwood and soy hulls, usually about half and half, and for wood-loving mushrooms like reishi, it's basically rocket fuel. The nutrients from this mix can fuel a ton of mushrooms, but because of those nutrients, mold and bacteria want it too. So to prepare each bag, I use 2 pounds of Master's Mix and 3 pounds of water. Then I sterilize those bags at 15 psi for 2.5 hours, which is a pretty long time. Once the bag's cooled, I added roughly 10% grain spawn by weight, which is just the colonized grain from the jars earlier. Then I sealed everything up and mixed the spawn throughout the bag so the reishi had a better chance of taking over quickly. This is where the second waiting game begins. Once again, reishi took its sweet time, moving slow as can be, which made things a little suspenseful, because with each passing day, the odds of some contaminant getting into my bag and ruining my whole grow increased. Fortunately, however, after about 4 weeks, the bags were finally colonized. Now I had this giant block of reishi mycelium, but the weirdest part of this grow hadn't even started yet, because once reishi starts fruiting, it stops looking like a normal mushroom entirely. Once the bags were fully colonized, I moved them over to my homemade automatic fruiting chamber. That's a mouthful. Reishi does better when I can control the humidity and airflow, so having an automatic setup makes my life so much easier than constantly misting and fanning the mushrooms. And something especially cool about reishi is that it can grow in 2 distinct ways depending on how much fresh air it gets. More fresh air pushes it towards that flat shelf shape known as a conch. Less fresh air or higher carbon dioxide makes it stretch upward like it's reaching for more oxygen, and that causes it to form what's known as antlers. You have a guess why they call it that? Some growers claim antler reishi may be more potent, so I decided to lean into that form and lower the fresh air in my tent to create a higher carbon dioxide environment. To give the mushrooms a spot to grow from, I sliced each bag a couple of times. At least, that's what I was trying to do, because even though I made those cuts, the biggest chunk of each reishi decided to grow straight through the filter patch on all of my bags. Apparently reishi looked at my carefully planned fruiting slits and said, you know what, I like this spot better. And this is where reishi started looking very different from the mushrooms I'm used to growing. It didn't immediately look like the polished, vibrant mushroom you see in pictures. It started as these little white blobs slowly oozing out of the block. And while plenty of mushrooms start as little white pins, these didn't quickly turn into normal cap and stems. Day after day, they just kept stretching upward into these funky looking antlers. Each day a little taller, a little darker, a little more alien looking, and it left me a little bit confused, because with something like shiitake, you can usually tell when it's time to harvest. The cap will start to flatten, or this little thing underneath called the veil will tear, and then I know it's harvest time. With reishi, on the other hand, I felt like I was checking it every day, like, are we there yet? But there's no little harvest now sign. You're basically just watching this alien looking mushroom every day, trying to figure out if it's still growing or just sitting there looking all dramatic and whatnot. And the reishi's just like, I don't know, man, who really knows? So to time the harvest, I had to watch for the growth to slow down, the white tips to shrink back, and the antlers to harden and darken. Eventually they stopped growing, or at least slowed down enough for me to think that they were mature, so I decided to harvest them, and when I did, I realized this grow had worked out way better than I expected. From adding liquid culture to the grain jars all the way to harvest, this whole grow took around 6 months. The grain jars were about 4 weeks, the substrate bags took about another 4 weeks, and then to actually fruit these bags took roughly 4 months. That is a long time to wait for a mushroom. But what really surprised me is the sheer amount that grew. And I don't know if this was a result of the master's mix or just the genetics in the liquid culture, but I harvested way more reishi than I actually needed. And this was just the first flush, with many more to come. By the time everything was harvested and dried, I had filled several mason jars. I had officially grown enough of the mushroom of immortality to start testing it. And if this experiment actually works, enough dry reishi to keep making my little sleep potion for years to come. By the way, if you want to try growing reishi yourself, I'll have my liquid cultures linked below through happymycelium.com. I'll also link the main supplies I'm using in this video, because having the right jars, filters, pressure cooker, substrate bags, and basic equipment makes this whole process a lot easier. Now, this mushroom has a lot of hype around its benefits, and I really want to find out for myself if these benefits are real. But unfortunately, a lot of these compounds that are responsible for all the benefits are locked inside these tough cell walls. So before I can take this mushroom, I need to turn it into something my body can actually use. Reishi is not a mushroom you can just pull off the block and start chewing on. It tastes horrible, and my body probably won't absorb any of the compounds if I just eat a chunk of it anyway. So the way people usually get the most out of it is by first drying it and then extracting it. Some people will make what's called a hot water decoction, which is basically just a long simmer. Other people use a long-term alcohol soak, and some people combine both, which is called a dual extraction. That's my plan. I like to think of the alcohol extract and the hot water decoction as two separate keys. Some compounds unlock better with alcohol and others unlock better with water. So by using both, I'm giving myself a better shot at pulling out the stuff that I'm actually trying to use. Now, ideally, you'd grind the reishi into the smallest pieces you possibly can. A coffee grinder will work great for this. You'll notice mine is in really large chunks, and I assure you this isn't my preference. It's simply because the reishi was so tough that it literally broke my food processor while I was trying to chop it up. Oops. So for this first batch, chunky reishi it is. I want a high proof alcohol to help extract the good stuff, so I poured Everclear over the dried reishi and let it sit for 5 weeks, shaking it once per day. I've already waited 6 months to grow this mushroom. What's another 5 weeks to make it into a tincture? Once the 5 weeks is up, I strain out the alcohol, take the mushroom solids, and simmer them in hot water at about 160 degrees Fahrenheit for 6 hours. After that, I mix the alcohol extract and the water extract into a 50-50 blend, which brings the final alcohol content to around 30%. And you want to be careful here. If you're following along, you don't really want to go below 25% alcohol. If you want it to be shelf stable at room temperature for a long time, around 30% is where you should aim for. This ratio could last a year and potentially more if it's bottled cleanly and stored somewhere cool and dark. And just like that, the mushroom I spent months growing was finally something I could actually take. The real question is what happens when I start actually taking it. So next, I'm going to track a normal baseline week, then I'm going to take this for 30 consecutive nights and keep everything else as normal as possible. After that, I'll officially have conclusive anecdotal evidence of whether or not the mushroom of immortality actually does what it says. Or if I just spent 7 months making a bitter bedtime ritual. So that's the grow. I spent 6 months growing this reishi for one reason, to see if it can actually help my sleep. Now that I have the actual tincture, the only thing left to do is actually take it for 30 days and find out if any of this was worth it. If it helps, I'll tell you. If I notice nothing, I'll also tell you. And if you want to grow reishi yourself, I'll have my liquid cultures and all the supplies I used linked below. Thanks for watching and happy growing.